I'll be quiet and listen because I'm here to listen to David Whalen, not myself.
Well, we haven't even started. I gave the wrong password out to everybody, so
I know.
I was giving people some time to come in.
Good. I don't feel so bad.
No, you weren't. You weren't even the last person. Don't worry.
19. I can be there in 19 minutes, Bruce. Order me a black coffee.
So is it just the four of us, gentlemen?
There
Just
are
swipe your thing.
2,
Just swipe
4, 6, 8 of us in here.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I guess we can start then, huh?
Okay.
If we don't, you'll always wish we had.
That is true. So I guess I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And we're going to, there we are.
Ah, cool. Very cool.
So just ignore the mess on my desktop. I was organizing files. All right. Show stuff. Bloop. All right. So I just want to start. I mean, I don't want to say like it's a disclaimer or anything because it's really not. But the way I understand your road trip concept, Ken, is completely the opposite of how I like to shoot photography.
Is that a whole folder of Zoom backgrounds?
There's a whole folder of Zoom backgrounds, yes.
Oh, wow.
David, you're very, very posh.
Necessary in this time.
It is. Yeah, I can show you if you want. Here, let me change my Zoom background real quick. Which, yeah, I can do this right here. You guys can, here's all my Zoom backgrounds that I have loaded in here. Here, now we're in a spaceship. We have the world burning behind us from my lost.
It's a road trip. It's a road trip just in your Zoom backgrounds.
It is. And of course, my favorite. The silent background that you can still hear.
Awesome.
We'll leave it on that for right now. Okay. So anyways, as I was saying, the way I understand this, like, you know, road trip is really more about like the places you visit than the actual portraits you take. So that puts me, who considers myself a portrait photographer, kind of in a different place because I really don't like to take pictures of things as much as I do people.
Right.
But I actually found a few, kind of the history of me. So we're going to start right here with 1998.
Ah.
And let's do that full screen. All right. So, full disclaimer. This is not my picture.
That one's not mine either.
So, in 1998, I took a trip with my school to Hawaii. That was our school trip for the year. And I was in charge of photographing for the entire class. They wanted us to put together like a slideshow at the end of the year, and that was my job to do. This was way before digital for you young listeners, and I had a point and click, point and shoot camera. I can't even remember what brand it was because that's how little I was into photography back then. And the one shot that I wanted to do, of course, was the typical Hawaiian sunset. Now, this, again, is not the Hawaiian sunset I took because that is buried in a box somewhere in some storage unit, and I did not have the time nor the patience to go looking for it. So rather, I went online and just found basically the same shot because everybody takes that Hawaiian sunset shot. This is that shot. This is basically my shot. Wow, somebody has birds on.
That would have to be Bruce.
I'm going to just mute that real quick. There we go. Yep, that's definitely Bruce.
He was trying to add to your shot.
No, it was wild birds here in IKEA that I had thrown.
So anyways, yes, I stole this from Pinterest because it's essentially the same shot. And then I added the 1198 in the corner because that's how little I understood how to use my camera. And that's basically what I had on my film, even though we went in sometime in May, because it was basically the blinking 12 on the old VCR of my camera. The reason I want to point out this shot, though, as me, it's very representational because this is probably the first time and the last time for quite a while that I was hired with a photography job. And I mean, look at it. Obviously, I did the thing that everyone expected. So I did my job. When I do find that photo, though, I will put this photo next to it so you can see that it is basically the same shot. And that's not to say because we're both good cameramen. That's to say that I was basically a basic bitch, and I just did the most basic cliche things that everyone did back then.
You base
Satire of photography.
You basic. It's a satire of photography, yes. You see. Okay. So 10 years later is my next shot.
Wow.
This is so I did travel between then and this point. The thing is, I didn't really have a camera. I definitely didn't have a digital camera until about 2009 when I got my first point and click camera. That being said, this is not using that camera because I forgot that camera on this trip because this trip was all about getting together with my long distance girlfriend who I had not seen in almost a year. And we decided to meet up in Arizona and go to the Grand Canyon together. So I'm pretty sure you can understand why packing my camera was not like on my first priority. This was taken with my BlackBerry at the time.
Yes.
Ooh.
And the actual, I don't know if I can shrink it.
I can see the keyboard.
That is the
outline.
size of the picture off of my BlackBerry. I actually I upscaled it quite a bit so that it would show up on this.
Ooh.
Yeah. And this is probably the first picture I've taken digitally of a landscape. At this point in my life, I'm still not a photographer. I'm just getting out of college for graphic design. And so there is a little bit of a crossover. You can kind of see that I'm developing an eye, but I'm not quite there yet. Here's my next shot from that. And this was actually the first photo I ever took of an area that I couldn't frame it exactly how I wanted, so I stitched together 3 shots.
From your BlackBerry?
This is my BlackBerry too, yes. Yes, everything from the Grand Canyon is going to be my BlackBerry.
Impressive.
Yeah.
So this was my attempt at trying to do something Ansel Adamish. And this is before I even knew really who he was. I've heard the word zone, didn't really understand it at that point. As you can see, I think there's probably maybe 4 or 5 zones in there.
Is that counting the zone you were in when you took it?
The Twilight Zone? No. That would be the 6th zone. So this is the first time I used Photoshop to stitch together 3 different photos in 2009. What I love about it is if you look at the actual vista compared to this shot, it looks nothing like it because things are scrunched and all misaligned. This is me taking a shot this way, looking up like that, and then looking down like that. So yeah.
That's cool.
It is not how I would attempt to take a shot like that nowadays, but here it is. That's what that was back then. And then this is probably closer to how I would do photography today, whereas I'm like taking a subject and kind of making it the center of the picture, kind of giving it focus. I feel like I was making this tree into a model for myself. But I also like this picture a lot because it really, really looks like a fake backdrop. Like it came out looking like one of those old Western backdrops you see in the old spaghetti Western movies. Or you could even say that I took this on the train ride at Disneyland in the tunnel because it kind of looks like that too. Is it Disneyland? Is it the Grand Canyon? I'll let you answer that. Let me see my notes if I'm missing anything. Oh, and then we come to probably my favorite part of what I took pictures of when I went to the Grand Canyon with my girlfriend, and that is the signs. So, again, I was a graphic designer at this point, and my eye instantly went to signs like this. Like, I would love to have designed the sign of like people falling to their death. Because I love how misleading it is. Common questions: how often do people fall over the edge? They have a picture of a person clearly falling to his death, and they're like, surprisingly, people rarely fall over the edge. So I like the dichotomy of that. But then this is the best shot coming up right here. Because they actually put this on a sign.
Occasionally. Just occasionally.
I don't know what this is telling you, other than if you see somebody doing that, maybe they're about to die. Like, it's not really helping you by saying that headache, nausea, and vomiting will cause you death. Like, there was no information. There was no, like, hey, call this number to try and help these people. If you see people like that, they're like, nope, they're dead. Just move on.
It's like, yes, I really want to take your paid hike into the Grand Canyon now.
Right?
Just like sign that waiver.
I think this might have been a waiver. If they say it was posted clearly and that person vomited himself to death, then, you know, they have no...
Maybe
no
that's why
lawsuit.
there, just the Grand Canyon to CYA, you know?
Okay, so that is 2009, and that was probably the first time I digitally took pictures, and as you can see, yeah, there are some good ones. 2 years later, I went to Las Vegas, and this is with my Coolpix 1000 or 1200X camera, which was a Nikon point-and-click camera. I loved the hell out of this camera because it had 42 times optical zoom.
Whoa.
Whoa, right? Yeah.
Wow.
So you could hit people with the lens that are 3 feet in front of you.
I tried to, yeah. But it was
Dave's got to stand a mile away to get a headshot.
Yeah.
and then if I really didn't care about the pixelization, then I could also zoom in an additional 108 times.
Yeah.
And I can make that one little pixel the entire frame. I really like this shot. I went through a bunch of these pictures and maybe found 4 pictures that I liked out of them by my standards today. This is how I feel whenever I go to Vegas, just bombarded by all this crap. And this really describes how Vegas feels to me.
Yeah.
Totally. That's barbecue.
So this, oh, hold on, let me zoom in. So this shot, I've always liked going to museums and taking shots, but I don't feel like the museum is like meant, like they don't like the things with the intention, I think, of people taking pictures of them. Caesar's Palace, however, is the complete opposite of that, and they think of everything as a snapshot opportunity, and I really liked the lighting on David and his schlong here. So I played with it took a couple pictures, and just, I don't know. I like this better than some of the other statues that I've taken at the Getty or at, some actual museum where this is real art and not some paper mache. Well, I mean, this is a paper mache mock-up.
Yeah.
It's not real. I mean, maybe it's marble. Whoever owns Vegas, man, I can imagine that. Maybe there's some like dirty drug money in there. Just pull on the wang and it opens up. Uh, yeah. And then this next picture is the reason I went to Vegas that year. I went to the opening of Elton John's $1 Million piano tour. And at the time, he was one of 3 people that I really wanted to see in concert. I've since only found one other person. I've still yet to see Paul McCartney. Little sore spot there. But what I had a lot of fun with this was because they explicitly said they wanted no photography.
Yeah.
And so I had to sneak this in through my coat. And I took about 10 shots before I got a person coming up to me and going like this, which meant that I, should put it away. But this shot, it's the steadiest one. It's the one that you can clearly see Elton John. I don't know. I really like this shot.
And you got Nigel Olsson there, and
Mhm.
is that Davy Johnston on the guitar?
Yes, it is.
So the original dude, is that Cooper on the percussion way back there?
That I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know Cooper by
like
heart.
that.
That's like original dudes right there.
I do remember they were advertising that he was trying to get back like his original band.
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
like Yellow Brick Road guys right there.
Well, good. Then it's even better.
Yeah.
It's an even better shot than I anticipated.
Fake fan, you don't know.
What's that?
The fake fan, you don't know.
It could be, it could be Blues Traveler for all I care. It's Elton John. That's who I wanted to see. And that was the point of that tour. I don't know if you know the $1 Million piano. It was $1 million because they put LCDs all over the front of it, so it could go with this. It could go with the songs. I think this was Philadelphia Freedom.
Perfect.
Looks like it.
It's like a what, Ken?
Well, it looks like, Philadelphia Freedom because of the flags.
Yeah. But I remember them making a huge, huge point about how expensive it was to put LCDs on the end of a piano. It takes you back to a time, man.
Totally.
All right. So back to my favorite hobby of taking pictures of signs. This was as my mom and I were driving into Las Vegas, and I just noticed this sign letting us know that apparently God resides on top of a pawn shop. I don't know. This is the kind of stuff I love, that I just always will take a picture of when I see. I don't think whoever put that sign, maybe they did think that the earth is really flat because, as a globe, you point up, it's never really going to be. I don't know. If they know that God is directly above that, then they know something I don't know.
Did you follow the sign though?
I tried to. I got shocked by that wire.
You got what?
That's how you see
The wires above it, I got shocked and I immediately stopped.
God was giving you a sign one way or the other.
Oh, God is always giving me a sign. It's just never the one I'm expecting. Like this one. But also, Road Ninja.
But also.
Yeah. All right. So let's fast forward another 6 years. At this point, I would consider myself a photographer, probably not a professional photographer yet. Actually, I don't know if I consider myself a professional photographer yet. So, yeah. This was 2017 when I went up to San Francisco for a weekend getaway with some dude named Frank.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, no, this is when we entered the city, and I had you drive so I could take some pictures. This was the only decent picture I took of that bunch.
It was terrifying.
It was. Our first time driving through was pretty terrifying. Well, I remember when we were entering and we were on the bridge and we were debating on whether or not we can use Fast Track.
Yeah.
So I had to call my mother at 7 a.m. after she had a late night. And is this car registered for our Fast Track? I don't remember. And we're like, you need to tell us now. You need to decide because we gotta get into a lane. And it was. We didn't get a ticket. We're good.
I forgot about that.
Now this picture is as true today as it was the day I took it. This was about a good year or a good few months into the first year of Trump. And this was stenciled all over. This was just everywhere you could see in San Francisco, which, I mean, if you know San Francisco, you kind of get.
Yeah.
I
still see them today.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, that gives me hope. I like that. Yeah, I mean, we'll just stare at it for a few more minutes. Just let that sink into your brain. November is around the corner, guys.
Oh,
Okay. This picture, Frank and I went and did a meetup in, let's see.
Mount Passes.
Yeah, I was trying to,
Passes.
yeah, is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Mount Talamabus.
Mountain.
So basically, this is where you see a lot of the influencers in San Francisco go to get half naked in front of the sunset.
Yeah.
And so Frank and I went and I think we were, was that the reason we were going up, was just to meet with these people?
It was, okay, so there was the first meetup, which was a select amount of people, only like 10 of us were there or whatever. There's the main meetup at Palace of the Fine Arts the next day, which was like 100 people.
Mhm.
And then I also wanted to scope out San Francisco Art Institute. And then we
So
rented
that's what we were doing. So this is the first secret meetup. Frank and I got there probably a half hour before anybody else, and there were these pair of shoes just sitting there on a rock. Nobody was around. And I'm literally wondering why there's shoes there. I ended up getting a stick and moving them slightly so that they had a little more, like, you know, polished look to them, I guess. Because they were just kind of sitting there, but I wasn't going to touch them. No way I was touching those with my bare hands. So I kind of poked them until they formed that, and then I like that picture. Oh, and I should also note, I just got my new iPhone that week before, so I was all about portrait mode.
Which gen? Oh, which gen?
Which what?
Which generation?
Let's see. This was 2017, so I probably had just got this one that I have right now. My what is this? My 7 Plus?
8.
No, it's not an 8. It's a 4.8. Yeah, I think it's a 7 Plus.
12 and a half.
Yeah, that's what I had. Eee.
But I mean, look at it. It's a nice shot.
Yep.
So then another half hour later, people started coming, and you know, it was fun. We had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Got a fucking $100 ticket though, because the park closed, and you know, Dickie, the security guy, decided to start with my car to get a ticket while everybody else was getting packed. And so for the rest of the weekend, everybody in that group was like, "Oh, we're really sorry that you got a ticket," but you know, not offering to help pay it or anything. Fucking millennials. So then this was the next day when we went to the Palace of the Fine Arts. Palace of the Arts? Palace of the Arts.
Palace of the Fine Arts.
Is it Fine Arts? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. And this is when we arrived, and it looked like they were setting up for a wedding, and we were like, oh, I guess we're not going to be able to shoot over here. Took a quick snapshot of it, and then we went to our groups, and Frank had fun for the next 2 hours. I decided to, so they separate into groups, and Frank was clearly in the cool group, whereas I was in the like, oh look, it's another one of those people not in our age bracket. You could all go over there and hang out and, you know, take pills or something. And So I quickly left my group and started taking pictures of like this.
This
And
is
then met up with
your
Frank.
cell phone. This is your iPhone.
This is my iPhone. Yes, I did have my Sony with me. But this was my iPhone. Because I mean, yeah, I don't even know why. I probably just like using my iPhone and not having to deal with the Sony. I think I only brought my 90mm lens, so it was a very specified shot I could take with that. I think that's what it was. This is with my 90mm lens, though. So the Sony enters the forum now.
Okay.
This was the next day when Frank and I decided to go and visit art. And so we hit up the art museum. And this was out back kind of around the corner. And I don't know, it speaks to me. It feels like it's, I don't know. I call this Congress in session.
Yes.
Because it's just a bunch of white people talking in front of a sign that is clearly contradicting itself.
And they're still
talking and no progress has been made.
Yeah.
They are still there to this day debating on whether or not we should defund police. And then this picture is the only portrait in the entire group that I took, or that I put in here, because I don't really consider this a portrait. It's an homage to a movie, and I'm really treating Frank as an object. So this is... What's that?
Everyone does.
Everyone does treat Frank as an object. That is true. But I mean, look at how...
I love the contrast and the texture in that one.
I'm sorry, Lizzie?
I love the contrast and the texture in that one.
So that's what we liked about it. That was actually a painting that was that contrasty and that much texture to it. And I told Frank, hop in front of it and I'm going to turn you into Han and Carbonite.
Yeah.
And I think he did a pretty damn good impression. He got the face down perfectly.
That's
All
awesome.
right, and this is another little excursion that Frank and I took. This time, this was probably about 2 months later in LA. Frank bought 2 tickets to some Craigslist event.
Airbnb.
Oh, I'm sorry, Airbnb. Of course, Airbnb, because they have events, you know. And I tried looking up who the guy was. He no longer follows me, and I no longer follow him. So I can't even find the guy. And apparently that girl that we befriended no longer exists anymore also. Yeah. So
Oh, they loved us.
they loved us that night, yeah. This is 3 different images. Obviously it's a slow shutter. And I think I waited for the traffic in the bottom first, and then I wanted some images in the top left and right, so I waited for cars in those spots and took that shot, and then just superimposed it. And Frank threw a Doubletree sticker in the center of it so that it looks like it has intention. It's an ad.
We'll tell them about the experience itself with that photographer dude. We all crammed in his, I think, Benz.
Oh, well, first, let's not even forget that first we met for quote-unquote dinner in that market, and it was like an outdoor market. So think like...
It was the famous one next to the, what's it called? That trolley that goes up the hill.
Oh,
yeah.
Grand Market.
Yeah. And so he spent the first 20 minutes of us all getting together, and he's like, let's eat. And then everyone dispersed and went to a separate place to eat.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about photography. Frank and I were by far the most photography-based people there, possibly including the guy who was hosting. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to take you to some cool shots. And we all crammed into his van, and he drove us around LA. Took us to 3 or 4 different shots. The first one we went to was kind of overlooking the city a little bit.
Dodger Stadium.
David?
Hmm.
I gotta go. My phone is gonna die.
Okay, well,
Down.
Okay.
thank you for coming.
Very well.
Bye.
Thank you for inviting
Bye.
me.
Bye.
Bye.
Is your phone really gonna die?
Okay. Well, now that all the women are gone, we no. Yeah. So basically, we were just driving around, and this was probably my favorite shot area of the night. Just the 3 different roads going every which way, and I don't know. We stopped talking to them, and then they stopped existing in our world.
They deleted their Instagrams, I guess.
They deleted their Instagrams just to avoid us. So this shot was another year later. I got hired by some guy and his family to go up to Monterey and shoot his dad's 80th birthday. And oh, that's weird. I thought I heard him for a second. So I stopped off in Fresno for the night because I didn't want to do the full drive, and I used to live in Fresno, and so it's kind of my old hunting grounds. And I met up with a couple people for dinner, and then I went to this this motel and just got the total like overlook hotel feel of this hallway, and so I wanted to kind of shoot it in a Kubrick-esque fashion.
Yeah.
And I think I achieved that pretty good. I think you kind of expect to see the little twins
Yeah.
sitting there somewhere about halfway.
Danny rolling through.
Come play with us, Danny.
What room,
Forever
what room
and
number did you
ever.
have?
What's that?
What room number did you have?
1313. I don't remember the room number in the movie. Sorry. That would have been funny though.
Just a red room.
Uh,
Yeah.
So this picture is
Wow.
just
Oh my
randomly on a farm that I was driving by on the way to Monterey, that same trip. And I saw it as I was changing from, I think, the 91 to the 5.
99.
99 to the 5, sorry, yes. There's kind of a point where you go off and then you hop back on the freeway. And this was just sitting there. Now, I missed it going up, but I took note. And as I was driving back, I made sure to pull off and take the shot because, I mean, look at it. It's
Yeah.
everything, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This guy voted for Trump, I guarantee you.
My cabbages.
Someone's been watching Avatar.
Yep.
All right. So this picture later that year when I went on another trip to Armagosa, Death Valley. So the story behind that is I was planning a big trip for about 3 months with a bunch of friends, and we were all set to go, and then I got deathly ill. Probably a little...
that trip.
You got the Rona.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't let on to them knowing like how bad it was, but it was pretty bad. I actually had to go on steroids to keep breathing. But yeah, so everyone went and had fun without me. And
Fun.
then and then all got called into an investigation, I hear.
It was great.
But we'll drop that and go on. So a couple months later, Will decides he wants to go again, and so I kind of have an opportunity to go and have this a smaller version of this trip. And while we are driving, it was kind of raining a little bit here and there, but this shot just came while we were driving, and I took a couple of shots as Will was driving, and then I was like, I really want to get in the middle, so then Will just started driving down the middle of the lane until I got the shot. And I mean, it looks like an album cover, right?
Yeah.
I think when I first posted this, I asked people to like give me being witty and trying to get interactions on my Instagram. Like, what would you call this album if this was your cover? And somebody said like Highway to Heaven, and I don't know. I think if God is looking at me that closely, he's not going to accept me into heaven. Like, he's kind of watching my approach. But I don't know, to each his own. This shot was actually stitched together from 3 shots. And the reason that it was stitched together from 3 shots was because I wanted to use my my brand new 90 millimeter lens that I just absolutely love, but it's really not meant to shoot wide buildings.
Yeah.
I love this shot.
However, like this shot, it just, it's I love it.
Do you want to?
This is the Armagosa Hotel. This is where Will and I stayed.
It's where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens. This is where actually that shot behind Will on his was also taken that weekend, I'm pretty sure.
Different weekend.
Well, and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I'm just going to move on.
But we did go to that same spot, yeah.
Oh, that's right, because you went back for the full moon. That's what that is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we didn't have the luxury of a full moon that night. But as you can see, we still got some cool shots. This was, hey, Deschanel.
Hello.
Everyone look at her now. Bring attention to her.
It's so funny. I'm glad I could make it.
Well, I'm glad you made it. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a girl in the room again, guys. Pants back on.
Yay.
So this was the Salt Flats the next morning when we got up at 3:30 in the morning to make it here by sunrise, and then proceeded to wait 3 hours for the sun to get just the right shot.
Mhm.
But that's also what I realized. I'm not a landscape photographer. Like, if this was a studio shot, I'd be like, okay, let's move the sun up like that, and yeah, okay. I don't like to wait for my light. I like to control my light. And the irony of this too is this is my favorite shot. Clearly, I didn't use my camera for this shot because my camera did the shot. The shots I took with my camera, they're fine. They look like backdrops to me. Maybe I'll use them in some like Photoshop project in the future. But I like this shot. I actually have this shot hanging in my house. And then this is Zabriskie Point. Is that how you say it? Zabriskie Point.
Another
So
one.
this is Zabriskie Point.
Zabriskie.
This was
Zabriskie.
as Will put it, this was the shot that everyone tried to take on the trip that they went on without me, but they were all aiming in the wrong direction.
And potentially they're at the wrong time.
Yeah, that's true. This was a couple hours later, so this was around 10:30, I think.
But we won't talk about being there at the wrong time.
Yeah. Or, the person influencing you to go the wrong angle. But yeah, Will and I were having a lot of fun talking bad about everybody else in this room. I don't know. But that's my problem with landscape photography is I don't feel like it's unique because everyone has the point to take it. Like, I've seen this shot. I entered this in a contest in OCC at OC Fair. It got in, but it was also next to another shot of Zabriskie Point. I mean, it's kind of cliche.
It was my shot. No, I'm just kidding.
What? Mine didn't get in.
It was Rager's shot.
Yeah, but yours was awful.
Ooh.
You went at the wrong time. All the shadows were flat. It was awful.
Ouch.
At least I got that nice rib for her pleasure feeling.
That's my taste, though. Flat and unimpressive. Because it's art.
Making it
Okay,
too
we'll go with that. It's art. And then this picture, I really like. This was when we were just so freaking hungry and we were just kind of rushing back, and I was just rolling down the window and taking shots outside of the car. Because we were just bored of stuff. I think bacon sounded a lot better than landscape photography at that moment. However, I really like the way that the sun flared against the, all the cracks and everything. One thing I do want to point out is if you notice in the top left corner, I still don't know how to take photos with my phone that well, and that is my thumb. I was going to edit it out, but then I was like, you know what? No, I think it needs to be left in.
That's a signature.
That is my signature. What's that?
Artistic taste.
It is artistic, yeah. I gave it a thumb sideways. Anything else about that? No. That is my thumb. Yeah, move on. This was last year. So, again, another excursion with Will, this time with Raul as well. We went up to Mount Wilson to shoot the super hyper blood wolf moon.
Super hyper blood wolf moon.
Yeah.
Did you get superpowers?
It definitely had superpowers. Did you see how red it turned? It was like somebody put a drop of food coloring on the moon for like 20 minutes. It was so important. As you can tell by the fact that that shot is up here, that's how important the moon was to me. Anyways, it was freezing, as you can tell, because the clouds are lower than us. But as the clouds were sinking, you were getting this really cool halo effect of the city lighting them up from below. And I just got it. I think I took longer taking this shot than I took of the moon. I took like maybe 5 shots of the moon. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm going over here now. And yeah, this shot was also in the OC Fair. Yeah, OC Fair. Didn't win anything. Probably because it looks photoshopped. And now, are you ready for this? Boom. Full circle. This I like to call my sellout picture. Because this, more than anything else, is the most cliche thing I could possibly take. So cliche that I had friends texting me when they saw this picture saying that other people were stealing my picture and putting it up as theirs.
Yes.
And I had to explain to them, no, that was the other 20 people that were there taking that same fucking shot. Because it only snows in that area once in a while. And
after the smog is cleared, at the right angle,
yep.
Everything.
Like the perfect shot of this would be the day after the rains. So with that in mind, we went the day after that. But it was a fun morning. I took this shot in probably about 20 minutes. Let Will spend the rest of the hour taking his shot, and watched a bunch of other people take some really, really weird angles of this. Angles that were like, I don't know if they really know what they're doing there. But
and we weren't with the group. We weren't with the group, so they probably thought we were taking the weird angle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but we were also standing on tables and having our freaking tripod go high, and they were looking at us like, "Why is that a thing?" So,
You silly boy, David. Silly boy.
Oh, there's Bruce.
So I consider this my most cliche shot, and unfortunately this is one that people still come to me and tell me how much they love, and like, this is real photography kind of a thing. And it slowly kills me inside every time someone compliments this.
David, you put LA on the map with this photo.
I did.
You made LA famous.
Yes. You made photography famous.
Wait, I have a shot that looks just like that.
Only slightly higher, right?
A little bit higher and a little bit to the left.
Yes, but you didn't put it in the OC Fair and have many people ask you how much this shot is, only to completely reject you when you tell them that you were not going to charge less than 200.
Only to ghost you. Yeah.
Yeah,
This other guy's charging 50.
basically, yeah. I could get that off of Instagram for $50.
And that was my chance to undercut you.
Dude, I will give you their information if you want to go hunting for those Karens. Because this is definitely a shot that Karen would hang in her freaking office.
Big print.
So there you go. That's a portrait photographer as a landscape.
Thank you, David.
And
Are there any questions? No? Okay. After party is going to be at where are you now, Bruce? Where's the after party going to be?
I'm in the beautiful, fabulous Orchard Hill. China King. There you go. Was it Lincoln and Knott?
Lincoln and Knott. Let's go right now, everybody.
Well, actually, they renamed not Coronavirus Avenue now. So it's actually at Lincoln and Corona.
There you go.
Corona.
David, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Well, number one, thank you for sharing. I enjoyed it. You're a great storyteller. With all those beautiful, fantastical Zoom backgrounds you have ready to load up at any moment,
Yes.
do you have to have a green screen behind you, or could you have
Believe it or
garage
not,
door?
Zoom actually works better without a green screen.
So you could just be in the middle of a Circle K store buying cigarettes and it would
Here.
work.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is what's behind me right now.
Wonderful. I knew it.
It's a Circle K.
There you go.
Oh, I should have done this. The Fox News Ready Room.
Oh. Now we know you're telling the truth.
Oh, man.
Wait, how many gig is the last file?
Well, this version is a JPEG of it, but the original one, probably 1.5 gigs.
Nice.
Honestly, like, I keep my pictures big because I want to print the option to print them big, I should say. So my average is about 1 gig on any file.
Wow.
Plus, I like to put layers and filters, you know.
Wow.
'Cause
Evil
I'm a-
layers.
But yeah,
that was great.
thank you. Now is the awkward silence where we just kind of sit there in silence until people start leaving one by one, right?
Well, I just liked the way that you did it. You know, I liked the way that you narrated it and your interpretation. You know, it was very creative.
Thank you. I had weeks to prepare.
All the snark. You know, I love the snark. I was hoping for that.
He gets around too, like San Francisco, Fresno.
I
See,
know.
what's funny about that is, like, I don't think of myself as a traveler because I've never traveled abroad. I've traveled around California and its neighboring areas. I've gone to Chicago, although I looked at those pictures and they're fucking awful. Like, I couldn't even, like, make them into something that would be worth putting on here.
Oh,
But,
no, that's
David,
a whole
I'm-
other slideshow right there.
fucking awful
Yep.
pictures?
Yeah, your fails. That'd be interesting.
Oh, I don't know if we have the 10 hours to go through all my fails. It's hard enough finding the good stuff. Yeah,
I
you're
loved it.
saturated with fails, man.
David, what's next? Are you enrolled in any college art programs this summer or in
I'm
the
done with
fall?
school right now.
No
I'm
more
so
OCC?
sold out. No,
Okay.
I had to draw out of OCC when the coronavirus thing hit, and then of course they offered to give me a full refund, so I was gonna of course drop. I got like 10 weeks for free basically, and
You're
that
going
was
to buy a
just-
35 millimeter 1.2 lens for that Sony with that refund, or what?
No, you know what I'm gonna buy with that refund? I'm gonna buy more lights.
Aha.
I've now reached a point where I think that's gonna give me more of the feel of what I want. I've got a couple of ideas that I want to do, but I definitely need a minimum of 4 of my Illenchromes,
Yeah.
but a maximum of infinite.
Cool.
I've
Well, you
learned
got-
to shape light very well this last year. I want to say more than I've done, and that's another reason why I can't stand landscapes. I don't have the control on shaping the light the way I want it to. I'd much rather. Plus, wouldn't you much rather see like a beautiful person than a mountain?
Then a stallion in a field with a light breaking through the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, I can make the person into a stallion if I want to.
There you go.
I'm really good at Photoshop. You want to be a centaur? You're a centaur. You're a centaur. I do still want to do that. I haven't made a centaur yet. So,
Make me a
anyways, I was telling Ken before all this. I don't